To reach the great city of the Emperor, the Vikings now faced the Myre. Here, brute force would not suffice. Skill and knowledge would be needed to cross safely. The war-born Valkyrie, Runa, was sent to find a way through.
The Myre. An apt name for a terrible place. I was sent to find a way through. Let's start by finding an outpost, or a camp, or something.
Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play For Honor. This is episode 12. We are in the Myre, where we will be finding our way through to try and do some recon. And then we are ambushed. This battle is going to get a little bit messy. I was having a lot of problems in the Myre of moving around in the water and losing lock-on. That's what's going on, as you can see right here. Now we've been ambushed. We're here to try and find our way to the Emperor's palace. On top of that, I'm not the most versed in playing the Valkyrie.
This place is unpleasant.
Now, we're playing as Runa. We've seen her throughout the Viking campaign. Her and Helvar are kind of used as comedic characters. This is a frustrating ability they have that makes it so you can't lock on. You can still fight, but it's a bit tricky. It's much harder than fighting without lock on in something like Dark Souls. The Valkyrie is a hybrid class. They're very good at harassing, and they have a long range. Their weapon also has big sweeping strikes, so they can hit multiple people at once.
Whoever that warrior had alerted was probably who I wanted to talk to.
Somehow a Viking was captured out here. I don't know what they were doing if we were the ones sent scouting. A sort of amusing thing to me is the Kensei being the Vanguard class for the samurai. You see a lot of the Kensei in battles, even though a Kensei means sword saint. And in history, there were like a handful. With, what is his name? The author of the Book of Five Rings, the duelist. I believe it's Master Musashi, being known as one of the greatest Kensei.
Control and defense of the Myre is split among the many houses of the daimyo. Their defenses vary in quality, but none of their defenders lack in skill.
You'll also see daimyo brought up. Daimyo are warlords or leaders of clans in feudal Japan. I'm not really a fan of fighting Shigoki. They're pretty tough. Their defenses can be very hard to break. The AI is fairly good at parrying with this class, and they just hit like trucks. Something that also frustrates me is that right there. Your AI companions will often do wild swings without locking on, so they'll hit you pretty commonly.
Maybe one of them would know how to get to the city.
Now we've talked a little bit about Japanese armor. Samurai armor comprised mainly of iron and leather and paper. and cloth. It was worn in layers. It was designed to allow for agility, but it's not all that different in range of movement from like European plate armor. The biggest difference is that they could raise their arms over their head more easily, which sounds like a very small detail. That's very important, as samurai were often horseback archers. Now, the reason this is important is that while in the West, quivers were held on the hip, in Japan, they were on the back, and you pulled your arrows from the back. Let me know if I'm getting a little bit too into historical attributes of armor and arms.
So? What did they tell you?
I don't speak Japanese.
Well, now what? We need maps.
There's a monastery.
How do you know? Wait here. I'll get reinforcements. Wait for us here.
Finally. I guessed that what I needed would be near the top. Seemed reasonable.
Whoever the lone scout was who found that monastery must have wondered what a Blackstone knight's body was doing there so far from home. They would find out soon enough.
I believe this is the first time we'll be fighting the Nobushi. The Nobushi is the hybrid class for the samurai. Nobushi are female only. They're based upon the Onaibusha of history, which were the wives of samurai who were trained in the art of warfare. They fought with, similar to what she is using right here, a naginata, that was seen as a woman's weapon. There were also women samurai themselves, such as clan leader Ginchio Tachibana of the Tachibana clan. So, if you ever see anyone complaining about how this game is ahistorical or something, even though it doesn't take place in actual history, there were female samurai. There were even black samurai. There were white samurai. You found samurai from various different backgrounds. They weren't as common, but they existed. If you see a similar thing talked about with the Vikings in this game, there were Viking women warriors. There were actually quite a few of them. And there were women that fought in war in Europe as well. They typically weren't knights, but sometimes noble women were trained in the art of battle or even how to perform in duels. And then, of course, you have figures like Joan of Arc. we're almost up to the map and our way out of here. But first we have to fight the boss. Often, a lot of these characters are named, but this character is just called the boss. So I can only assume if I defeat him, I will attain the rank of Big Boss. He was giving me quite a bit of trouble, so I decided to turn on the unparryable ability. You have different abilities from the story mode that you can unlock and use.
Archers!
A strange thing to note about that cutscene. All of the samurai so far have been speaking in Japanese, and Runa even mentions that they're speaking Japanese specifically. But for some reason, that samurai just yelled archers. Now, I could try and fight every single person on my way out of here, but I'm not supposed to. I'm actually just supposed to escape. I do get a little bit tangled up over here. I just couldn't give up on my hatred of Shigoki. Thankfully, while I'm fighting one-on-one, everyone else is just standing by watching.
Too many to fight. I needed to just run.
And then I get distracted here, because of course, obsessive-compulsive disorder, I have that, and I get easily distracted by completionist things.
I had what we needed. Await the hours.
And that was episode 12, Reconnaissance. A little bit longer than the other episodes. Next time we will be further going in and fighting our way towards the Emperor's palace for the Vikings to complete their great raid. I will see you next time in episode 13.